not what you see in the eyes of the people. It's what you find in the heart of an eagle.
Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, sugod, todo sa kayod, tulong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiting at tigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
Coming up next, Nagtatanong lang on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Radyo, Katipunan. Sa Blue Eagle kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero, sugod, todo sa kayod, tulong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
Bakit ang mahal ng bili?
Kailangan ba
Bakit
talaga
laging
Hindi ba
traffic
may
ka?
freedom of speech?
Saan?
Marami tayong mga tanong.
Tayo laban sa
Bakit
fake
ganito?
news? Ba makaiwas
Bakit
sa
ganyan?
pag-asa pa bang
Mga tanong tungkol sa bayan at sa buhay.
Ano nga ba ang gawang kabataan?
May solusyon nga ba? Sino ang may
para
sagot?
kanino ba talaga ang gobyerno?
At sino ang magtatanong? Huwag mag-alala! We got you! Dahil dito, bawal ang dead air. Sa Nagtatanong lang. Kasama si JR Santiago, tuwing Webes ng gabi, makiusyoso, makidiskurso, at makialam. Dahil ang tamang tanong, may swak na solusyon. Tatanong lang.
Okay, so magandang gabi mga ka-nagtatanong lang. Welcome to another episode where we ask the right questions to find real and practical answers to the issues that matter most, no? Ako po ang inyong host, si JR Santiago, at gaya po ninyo, naniniwala ako na kapag may tamang tanong, may swak na solusyon. So today, we are tackling a topic that directly affects millions of Filipinos here in Metro Manila, the suspension of the EDSA rehab project or EDSA rebuild. The President's decision to hold the project sparked both relief and concern. Relief for some who feared additional traffic congestion, and concern for those who believe it's a missed opportunity for real improvement. But the bigger question remains, no? Was it the right decision? But more importantly, paano ba tayo maghahanda para sa EDSA rehab when it starts? No? So in this episode, we'll break down the EDSA rehab project, what it really entails, what it means for commuters, for businesses, and city development in the long run. So makakasama natin ngayong gabi si Architect Leandro Poco, isang environment planner, Managing Director sa Consilio Operazioni Incorporated at partner sa Leandro A. Poco Associate Architect. So Architect, please say hi to our listeners via Zoom. Yan. Alright, so good evening. Good evening, Architect. And of course, also with us is Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis, one of the most respected voices in Philippine business. He is the Chairman Emeritus of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and he's also the Chairman of Phil Exports. So Mr. Ortiz Luis, please say hi to our audience. Yan, thank you. Okay, and then kasama din natin for the second time, si Lou Gapuela, Director of Alt Mobility PH. Lou, please say hi to our audience. Yeah. So our guests tonight will give different perspectives to help us better understand the issues of the EDSA rebuild. But before that, so ang episode po ngayong gabi ay umiikot sa tanong na what do you expect from the EDSA rebuild o anong inaasahan mo sa pagsasaayos ng EDSA? Of course, this episode is sponsored by Deli's Condensada. Sa Deli's Condensada, makakaasa ka sa balancing tamis na magpapasarap ng lasa ng inyong kape, desserts, baked goodies at iba pang savory dishes. So salamat po, Deli's Condensada. So umpisahan na po natin. So my first question is for Architect Poco. So from an urban planning perspective, was the original EDSA rehab design adequate in solving, or is it adequate in solving Metro Manila's transportation woes?
That's a tough question kasi if you look it up, there's not much information available online to the public, apart from a few videos illustrating how they intend to close off the lanes and the sections as the rehab or rebuild is undertaken. Actually, it's just like a typical reblocking effort. They fence off with movable bollards and jersey barriers, the orange things that you see that are moved around. They're called jersey barriers, and then so they close off per lane, and then they remove the existing pavement, and then they pave it back in. So actually, if you look at it closely, it doesn't look like there's any change to the design. It's actually status quo. What they're really doing is just reblocking on a more comprehensive way, so that you avoid the awkward bumps and terminations and joints. So I think in terms of design, it's really not pushing anything forward. It's not really moving forward to any other direction except status quo. The thing that makes it the unseen thing that we don't really understand or see as laymen, as lay people, is actually maraming embedded utilities sa daan, sa pavement. And as you know, they're saying that maybe we can use advanced technology. It's not really technology per se. It's just using quick drying or fast setting concrete. This is concrete that attains its compressive strength at a much faster pace. But the problem is that's assuming you're just repaving it. What if you're gonna remove the pavement and then you have to coordinate with all the other utilities like Maynila, like the telcos, and so on and so forth, the drainage, to be able to embed all the sunken and substructure utilities that are submerged underground. No? So that itself is it's not even an urban planning challenge. It's a project management, construction management challenge. And kung sinasabi nilang mabilis matuyo yung konkreto, I think the better question is gaano katagal at gaano kahirap i-coordinate yung iba-ibang ahensya, iba-ibang kumpanya na in charge dun sa mga embedded utilities.
Oh.
So maaring mabilis nga buhusan ng konkreto, pero ang hirap naman i-embudo ng mga utilities na nakabuon sa EDSA. So, hindi mo rin mapapabilis actually. Yun.
Well, thank you for that very candid answer. No, parang my takeaway is it seems like it's just a major reblocking project. But you raise an important point on paano nga pala yung mga utilities sa ilalim, no, na matatamaan. No? So that we need to see how that will happen. Okay. Now, my next question, because I really like that you are, you're not just an urban planner but an environment, planner, which I think is, deals with all aspects, not just making it easier for pedestrians, for people who drive. But if it were up to you, because you said this is just, it seems to be just a reblocking project. But if you were gonna redesign, siguro broad strokes lang, the EDSA rehab project, what 3 elements would you prioritize to make it a whole lot better?
Actually, I'll take a few steps back. No? I might digress a little bit. You have to revisit ano ba yung history ng EDSA. EDSA was not really meant or intended to be the main spine of Manila, of downtown Manila, the inner core of Manila. Actually, it's meant to be a ring road. So it was supposed to bypass all the traffic that was happening downtown in Avenida Rizal, in Taft Avenue, in University Belt, and around España, and all these areas. Because a bustling downtown was already clogged, no? And the people going north to south had no other way but to pass through and add to more traffic. EDSA was intended as a bypass so that people going from north to south and vice versa can just go around and bypass this. The irony about bypass roads, they've been proven to attract vitality and economic activity where they occur. So if you look at it in other cases around the world, hindi lang naman EDSA ang bypass road sa mundo. Maraming ibang bypass road, circumferential road. These tend to pull socio-economic activity out to the edges and then create a new center, or recenters the city into a more metropolitan, suburban framework. Now, with that nuance, or with that background, you'll start realizing EDSA is not actually just one road. EDSA is a series of different streets or roads that are stitched together depending on ano yung katabi na land use and katabi na activity beside EDSA. So, if you drive along EDSA, there are segments that feel like a highway. Why? Because it's enclosed by blank walls. There's no buildings opening directly to it, and you feel that the traffic moves faster, right? And then there are segments of EDSA that are like, teka, ano ba to? Bakit parang syudad dito? Kabihas na nito. May nagbubukas may mga nagtitinda, and then katabi mo na yung mall, or may drop-off, tapos may nagpaparada na kotse, and so on and so forth. So, that's the parang transitioning effect of EDSA as it moves from a suburban highway into an urban spine or an urban high street. But the problem is it's not transitioning uniformly. There are portions that feel like sana it could have been more walkable. And then there are portions that are like, oh, you can't even walk here because the traffic is moving so fast. So what it really means is that EDSA needs a very nuanced approach and a fine-grained inspection of, teka, baka iba-iba dapat yung road section, or iba-iba dapat yung disenyo ng ilang lanes at ilan yung pedestrian lanes and sidewalks, and ano yung disenyo para dun sa kayan at babaan ng mga sasakyan or ng public transport. It needs a close review of that. Right now, we're not getting to that because everyone just wants to repave the thing. So I think the challenge here is it's one thing to just keep the status quo. It's another to envision ano ba yung future ng EDSA? Ano ba yung future ng Metro Manila? Kasi that's what's going to define how EDSA should be. And people like addressing traffic on the road, like they say, oh, at even or number coding, but they don't really address where the traffic comes from. Most of the cars that pass through EDSA don't come from the inner core of Metro Manila. Most of it actually come from outside Metro Manila, which is the suburbs. So coming from the north, coming from the south, coming from the east. And the reason why EDSA is like a basin of all this traffic is because it sits in between the edge and the core of the city. And you can see it. No? You can see how it forms a ring. So there's a short-term answer and then there's a longer-term, harder to attain vision. I think usong-uso ngayon yung usapan na it's time to decentralize Metro Manila, which I don't agree with because one of our biggest strengths is our density. The problem with our density is that we're not taking advantage of it and we're actually parang hostage to it. Other cities would love to have this kind of density because density itself activates economic activity and consumption and so on and so forth. What we need to envision is a re-centralization of Metro Manila and its suburbs. I think the core of Manila is now ripe to be re-examined as a bike commuting, public transport centric core because it's all within a 15-20 minute bubble. And it's true. I mean, on a good day, basta nasa loob ka ng EDSA core, you can get anywhere within a 15-20 minute commute or bike commute. But it also means we have to examine what's happening out in the suburbs. Maybe it's time to put carrots and sticks into effect, no? Rather than just saying, "Oh, we need congestion pricing." Maybe we also need to have a more whole of government approach and say, it's time to put tax breaks to encourage business locators to move out to Cavite, to Laguna, to Antipolo, to Bulacan. Because there's a lot of new townships coming up. And sa totoo lang, without these incentives, it's gonna take a while. Like for example, Philinvest in Alabang has been developed for almost 20 years now. And hanggang ngayon, bakante pa rin siya. Because there's no carrot and stick socio-economic policy on a high level that draws people out. If you compare this to Singapore, because that's where I studied and I had a chance to work, they only have about 6 million people. Their downtown core is very concentrated. But there are many other subcenters around Singapore, which the government intentionally created as subcenters and created incentives and even located themselves. No? They located government ministries out into certain satellite towns and districts so that ma-recentralize, magkaroon ng separate bubbles of concentration and activity so that people don't have to travel on a daily basis 20-40 kilometers just to get to work. And the problem with this kind of thinking is that it takes longer to implement. And unfortunately, the design of our political system is not structured for long-term implementation. It's always low-hanging fruit and quick wins.
Wow.
So walang isang madaling sagot. Kumbaga, kaya nga I like saying it's a wicked problem kasi walang silver bullet. Kailangan talaga pag-aralan at kailangan din magkaroon ng top-down policy that listens to what's happening on the ground and analyzes what's happening on the ground.
Thank you, Architect, for that very comprehensive answer and for the history lesson as well. And it shows that the problem needs a multifaceted and whole of government approach. And I hope government is listening as well as other sectors involved so that we can come up with a long-term solution and not just a reblocking band-aid solution. Okay, thank you. Now we'll get back to you, Architect. Now I'm sure we can discuss some more. But now let's go to Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis, one of our most respected business leaders. Now, my first question to you is, of course, we're talking about yung abala, anong mangyayari. So, how do major infrastructure projects like the EDSA rehab, how does it affect business productivity and logistics?
Well,
it certainly will affect us even if it's just EDSA, no? Because most of the people are passing there now, going to their work, and actually we were prepared. I think the business sector was prepared to see what can happen, no? Until they came up with all these things like the uneven. That I think broke the camel's back, no? Because then people think, what are they doing? They're making our life really impossible, and that's when we had the meeting with MMDA, DOLE, and the OTR, Public Works, and we were just talking about how to mitigate yung uneven na yan, yung ano. But then it turned out that, fortunately, it was deferred or it was cancelled. Many of them I gathered during that meeting are wondering, why are we doing this now?
Yeah.
Is there urgency? What I noticed is that people there in that meeting were saying, well, we can see the urgency in Guadalupe Bridge.
Okay.
Because there seems to be an element of danger there. But, people are wondering sometimes, even reblocking, this seems to be good. Maybe there's some cracks. Maybe it was displaced a little, but it doesn't pose any danger. It doesn't even pose any delay. Why are they chipping the cement and building? As if the feeling is, well, maybe they just have a budget and they want to use it.
Okay.
And that's the prevailing feeling. What is the urgency in doing that? And so the question of the people is, don't we have things to be done before this, before making yung MRT extension?
Yes.
We're digging all this for the subway, and the trains that will be added. Shouldn't we do this so that repairing EDSA will be much simpler for those who cross this? And that is the wonder. And so everybody welcome the news that it was postponed or whatever. No? And then even during that meeting, there was some suggestion already. And why are similar to what the president is saying? No? What can be a faster way, technology? And what came out there is some people that were engaged, especially the construction people were there. So they were saying, why don't we use asphalt?
Asphalt. Okay.
Asphalt is Europe now is 90% asphalt.
Oh, wow.
And in the US, it's beginning to be used. No? Pero wag lang naman yung the way we use asphalt here. Class A asphalt.
Class A, okay.
Tsaka yung wag aspahid.
Aspahid. I like that term, aspahid.
Because they will do yung mga asphalting yun, 4 inches ang requirement, 4 inches di-demonstrate, pagdating na rin sa gitna, panipis ng panipis. And I understand, we have the architects here, that asphalt will cut the time by 60 to 80%.
60 to 80% if you use asphalt.
In 24 hours, 48 hours, the one is reusable already because they have this modern way. So, and it's half the cost.
Half the cost.
Half the cost. Although they say that it will last for about 6 to 15 years with many maintenances, but as against cement, which is 20 to 40 years. But half the cost. But what is important is you don't do EDSA and stop everybody's life.
Yes.
Or something that is not that urgent. I did that the first time I heard about you have to do what is under under we were talking about that. It's the first time that I realized that.
Yeah, there are
maybe
utilities,
that's part of the thing,
Yeah.
But now, I guess we have to consider that. But now there is a sigh of relief that we're postponing it. As a matter of fact, maybe we should finish all these traffic mitigation things that we're doing before we really do EDSA.
Yeah. Oh no, thank you for that. First of all, I'm really glad that there's dialogue between business and government because, I mean, given the world economy right now, any slowdown is not welcome because we really want to fast track growth now. But for example, let's do scenario thinking. For example, it does push through, and one of the solutions being proposed, parang to ease traffic, is for flexible work arrangements. So, as as a business leader, what do you think is the sense of the business community? Are they open to flexible working arrangements?
Actually, that was the purpose of the meeting.
Okay.
Before kasi, yes, we were trying to look for solutions how to make it easier. No, not everybody is capable of having work from home. For instance,
yes.
No. We are talking of manufacturing and construction, certainly.
Yes.
That's it. So we're talking really of office works mostly, and that is something that. But what really was the problem was yung mga senior citizen going to the hospital, going to check up,
Yes.
and that is why I was saying when they introduced the uneven. That is when you heard a lot of howls. Simply because it turns out that you have to buy extra cars.
Exactly.
Now, and that is what is happening in the Philippines. When we were constructing the LRT, we had the color coding. The first time, they say temporary.
Yes.
But they did not leave it down. So what that we do. Before, the best example is the gated villages.
Yes.
You have one garage, one car. With the introduction of this, and even just the news that of uneven to be introduced, you notice there's a lot of cars that is being bought, lot of motorcycles being bought, even in our offices.
Yes.
There are already requests additional
Vehicles.
services because of this. And that is why the car industry, it looks like they are the salesmen of the car industry.
Yeah.
In all stages of the economic stages, the car industry always goes up.
Yeah.
But if there is an introduction of this one, it goes up astronomically.
Yeah, that's
astronomically. And what you're trying to mitigate, the traffic, is exacerbated when you do this because Filipinos will do. Napakadali namang bumili ng kotse ngayon.
Exactly.
Marami pang walang down payment.
Yes.
So, what happens is ina-avoid mo, yun ang nangyayari.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm very happy that the business sector is open to flexible work arrangements. But again, there are industries that cannot have that. And then I think an important thing you raised is the uneven. No? It was really confusing. Like me, I found out that my car will not be allowed on EDSA 3 times a week. So I was really considering maybe I should buy another car. But if I buy another car, I'll add to the traffic. So parang chicken and egg problem. So thank you for those answers. We'll get back to you. We have more questions with regards to the business sector. Now let's go to Lou. Now being director of Alt Mobility, number one question, what is Alt Mobility's position on the suspension of the EDSA rehab project? Do you see it as a missed opportunity or a necessary pause to rethink priorities?
It's an urgent, necessary pause to step back from the table and take a deep breath and also find out what is it that we're doing. Because if we go back to the question, let me put out a fact right now. Car users are a minority. That's a fact.
Minority?
They are a minority. And
Okay.
with this EDSA rebuild, remember, you have pedestrians, you have commuters, you have workers, employees. iaabala mo silang lahat.
Lahat.
The big question everyone is asking, what are we doing this for? We don't know what the plan is. We only see
Exactly.
snippets. Okay, sige, may reblocking dito, siguro, and so on. But iaabala mo silang lahat, tayong lahat. And remember, commuters, pedestrians, employees, this will entail additional cost to them.
Yes.
Yung normally mag-LRT, MRT, baka mag-grab na yan kasi hindi pwedeng malate and so on.
Yes.
This is additional cost that will not be financed by government. Government will not help them there. So, yung take-home pay pa lang nila, liliit palalo. So, abala talaga, and we are all going to be making tests for this for what exactly? We don't know. Will all this be worth it? We don't know. So, that's a bigger question. And then, having said that, yun nga, so aside from sa abala, hindi pa natin laman ng end product nito, we would like to think sana na it's not just an engineering thing that we're doing. Yes, we agree with the fact na si Guadalupe Bridge kailangan ayusin. That's part of Metriacal and resilience and so on. But if we are just essentially repainting the whole thing with the same design, what exactly are we doing and what are we wasting all this time for? If we're going to fix EDSA anyway, can we do a bit of rethinking and redesign? Because if you remember, a few weeks ago, Secretary Vince walked with us throughout EDSA. We saw that there were a lot of problems. For example, safety sa road, for example, that's one thing. Can we not fix this as well since we're doing a rebuild anyway? So things like that. Number two, we would like to think sana, we would like to see, especially when it comes to major things like this, our planning, our design should always be inclusive, participatory, meaningful. Hindi yung biglaan na lang ito mangyayari, whether you like it or not. Because believe it or not, especially when it comes to national government, you cannot leave national government to its own designs because it's groupthink, it's all people thinking the same way. And sad to say, we have to admit, these are the people making decisions. These people do not commute. So they do not understand lived experience. And a lot of us on the ground, commuters, pedestrians, and so on, we have valuable input when it comes to design and things like this. And sana, we would like to be part of that conversation as well so that the next time we do a major thing like this, baka yung suggestions naman will save money in the long run.
Wow, I mean, I like the way you answered that it's a necessary pause for us to rethink and then do it together, no, not just government. And I think government needs to show us, number one, like what Mr. Ortiz-Luis said, where's the urgency and why are we doing this? No? Okay, before I proceed to the next question, no, para sa mga tagapakinig po natin sa radyo, ganap na pong 7:30 ng gabi. Ang oras ay hatid sa atin ng, of course, Delis Condensada, may lapot, creaminess, at balanseng tamis na maasahan. Magbibili po sa Unimart, Magic Supermart, Unitop, at Ever dito sa Luzon. Iloilo Supermart, Alturas, Lee Plaza Supermarket sa Visayas, and Gaisano sa Mindanao. So Lou, my next question for you. No? So in your view, no, you said this is a good time to pause and rethink. So in your view, what are the most critical things that should be included, no, if the EDSA rehab will push through in the future, specifically for pedestrians, cyclists, and public commuters?
So one of the problems that we have, everyone understands this, everyone acknowledges this, is traffic. Yes. Traffic is cars. And the way things are right now, especially when it comes to design and engineering, the more roads we build, the more we make it easier for cars. And like what was mentioned earlier, especially with the odd even and color coding, what have you, people will just buy more cars. So at the moment, there is no national policy in disincentivizing car purchases or car usage. Yes, we have public transport, MRT, LRT, and so on. But at the moment, if we really want to find a way to fix traffic, you have to make sure when it comes to design, you have to make sure public transport is number one, prioritized. Kasi the better, the more reliable public transport is, the more people will use it. And yun nga, people who can buy cars, if they're incentivized to use public transportation, they will do that, they will use that. So when it comes to reimagining EDSA, redesigning EDSA, let's do that. Make sure that public transport is prioritized. Yes, we have the BRT, we have the EDSA carousel, that's good. But we have to make sure that more people pass through that. Number two, we also have to emphasize, when it comes to EDSA, we should not just be looking at speed as a KPI.
Okay.
Kasi that's almost always what government reports, MMDA especially, na bumilis yung daan sa EDSA from, say, 50 kph against 70 na, which is improvement on their end. Yes, but remember again, car users are the minority. Is government looking at other KPIs? For example, we put more people pass through EDSA through LRT, MRT, or other inclusive means of transportation. Kasi the more people you move, the better. Not just the more cars you move, the more people you move. So again, that's emphasis in public transport, inclusive mobility, things like that. We want people to not use cars. We want to disincentivize car usage, car purchases. Because again, the more cars that are bought, remember, land is finite, space is finite. So the more cars there are, more traffic there will be.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for raising that important point now. Like, I'm sure all of us who've been to other countries, specifically, let's say Singapore, their public transport system is really very efficient. And I hear taxes for cars there are really high. Sometimes it's more expensive than the car. No? And I think if we have an effective public transport system, people will be more encouraged to use public transportation. So thank you, Luna. We'll get back to you. No? Balik tayo kay Architect Leandro. No? Nagbigay na ng solutions, no? Some solutions si Lu. So for you ba, like how can urban mobility principles be better incorporated in major road projects like the EDSA rehab or the EDSA rebuild?
The vast majority of the vehicular volume are cars. And tama na. The irony is the minority yung car owners, but they occupy a good majority of the number of lanes on the road. If you ask yourself, what is the pull factor? I mean, what is the factor that prevents these car owners from taking public transit more, as a more constant mode of transport every day? A lot of these guys just drive in the morning and in the evening. They're basically cooped up in the office building or in the business district, and they don't even. It's not like they're traveling salesmen and they go out and do this and that. Maybe a small minority. I think the one of the most important concepts in urban mobility is the last mile. You need to be able to take public transport efficiently and comfortably from the first and last mile to and from the door of your house. And if you think about it, if you live in the villages or in any suburb or in any subdivision, it doesn't even need to be a fancy gated village, okay? Any subdivision, kasi almost all mass housing, row housing in outside of Metro Manila is already a gated community. Paglabas mo ng bahay, malayo yung lakad mo or kailangan mo mag-tricycle papunta sa main road para makapag-commute. Ngayon, kung may kotse ka, hindi ka na maglalakad at hindi ka na magta-tricycle. Paglabas mo pa lang ng pinto, shoot ka na sa kotse and you drive yourself. So it's the first and the last mile that is actually the hindrance to getting more people to take public transport. Kasi apart from capacity, existing capacity of course. So it's something that we have to address kasi you can penalize and you can keep penalizing car users. No? But the fact that they're already paying hand over fist in toll fees, in gasoline, in parking fees, in registration, insurance, that's not gonna stop them. Kasi minority na nga sila, they can already afford to do so. And you'll just antagonize a lot more people. So it's also the same people who happen to have the agency to work from home. Actually, most of the car owners can actually opt to work from home because these are information and knowledge jobs. And they don't actually need to be on premises. A vast majority of the people who need to be on premises are the same people who have to commute. So there's sort of a modal match to car use and office work. And if you were to encourage hybrid telecommuting, ito sila yung dapat nating encourage to do the telecommute. But we can encourage that in the short and mid-term while we're working on the first and last mile transportation modes to up the public transport use. I think that's the biggest challenge. Kasi marami ng proposals on widening sidewalks. Common sense. Where there's an MRT, LRT station, you should widen the sidewalks. Widen the sidewalks, maybe diminish a few lanes, maybe take out one lane for cars, and then so that more people can walk alongside and get on and off public transport. the EDSA carousel, although it has, it's a proof of concept, no, that it works. Ideally, sana, people don't have to scale up and down, hop, skip, and jump just to get to the island. And then what's worse is, nandun ka na nga sa island, sasakay ka, tapos you have to cross over the path of the bus just to get in. And may na-aksidente na, di ba? May mga na-aksidente na they get run over or they get hit by the bus as they go in. So I think it could have been better. There are many studies, there are many proposals, and there are many vignettes, no, of renders and perspectives showing what EDSA could be. Of course, they're not showing all the difficult infrastructure underneath that has to be dealt with to make it work. But that's a design and engineering problem. I think the bigger thing that we have to address is how do we stop inducing more demand for cars and car use? And how do we institute a modal and cultural shift away from car use to public transport? Actually, pre-pandemic, the introduction of P2P bus routes was already making inroads to a lot of village dwellers. People would either take the trike to the mall to take the P2P, going to another mall in the CBD, and then just walk to work. And it's very convenient. It's still, even though it's a premium service, transport service, it's still a lot cheaper than paying toll fees and gasoline and parking on a daily basis. So we were already making inroads. The pandemic really just shut the door on public transport thinking, because all of a sudden being around many people is not a good idea. So I think we have to find our way back to that and encourage the shift in thinking. And alam ko maraming magagalit na developer pag sinabing we have to go back to hybrid working and online working. But it's not like people will not eat when they're at home. It just redistributes the consumption patterns away from the CBD towards their localities. So it becomes the community and regional malls, and it becomes the palenques that become the catchment for their demand. And it's also not true that office tenancies will get affected, because no matter what, office locators still have to keep a business address. The question lang is, they will suffer with lower footfall. So the ground floor retail and F&B tenants are affected. But yun nga, it just shifts and changes modality towards the outskirts.
Oh, wow.
We've had that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, thank you for the answers. I actually you answered my next question already on what can be done. But I really like that you highlighted the importance of looking into the first and last mile, no? Because that's very, very important. And I think you raise an important point that it's not just a matter of design and engineering, it's also will require cultural shift. Now, kasi minsan yung cars, status symbol yan, di ba? I've made it. I have 2 or 3 cars. No? So, we have to change that. Okay, we'll get back to you, no, architect. Marami pa tayong tanong. So, let's go back to Mr. Ortiz Luis now when it comes to the business perspective. Like you mentioned, no, you had the meeting with MMDA, the OTR. So, how do you think government should engage the business sector when they think of large-scale projects like this?
Well, I don't know how it can be done, but I think the government, when there are plans that will affect everybody, they should really keep it open, not only to business sector but for everybody. Because if the plan is open and can be seen by with the modern communication, I'm sure we should be that. And it's a good thing that time by time there is this joint meeting with a group of people like yung meeting namin doon. I think that meeting, because from that meeting, the different secretaries reported to the president.
Okay.
I think that was the one that triggered the president to rethink, because nadinig niya yung mga komento, and siya, nakumbisi siya. Sa totoo lang, if you do EDSA now, the way it's planned, no? Sabi na, 1 or 2 years, I guess it will be 3 years kung dapat
3
magkakaroon
years.
ng problema yan.
Yeah.
Talagang halos imposible. I think the President realized that, magmumura yung mga tao may term, and then pagkatapos ito, ibang term na makikinabang.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
to his idea, why should I, and meron naman siya ibang mga project na po pwede. Like for instance, I really don't know, yung planner. Bakit ba yung C6? That was like Highway 54 long araw. Ba't ba ngayon, hindi pa natatapos yun? That was supposed to relieve a lot of traffic from EDSA. Bakit pa ngayon hindi natatapos? Hindi ko malaman. Gusto nilang pagkagastahan yung EDSA na ayos naman, to be to many of them. Bakit yung C6 di tapusin? That should relieve a lot of traffic. Bakit yung interconnectivity ng additional trains, no? Tsaka yung sabi nga yung bus lane na hindi ko malaman kung plano nila. Pero I was tempted there one time. Sabi ko, yung bus lane nakakaingit dahil ang luwag-luwag, walang nagdadaan. In the meanwhile, I remember, I was suggesting baka kasi bad tayo sa labas eh. Everybody's talking about the worst traffic now is Manila, especially EDSA. And there was this classic example of one ambassador who was interviewed. And he said, how long have you been in Manila? Well, I was in Makati for 6 months, and I was in EDSA for another 6 months. I mean, those are the things that creates bad impression.
Yes,
That's why, sabi ko, baka naman po pwede, yun man lang heads up yung ng mga embassies, yun man lang padaanin nyo. At yung mga multilateral agencies like World Bank, padaanin nyo because they're the ones that are, hindi naman kagaya ng mga congressman at mga senador yan na napakadami at nanganganak pa yung mga numbers, no? Ilan lang yan. Para naman kako, hindi nila maintindihan kung bakit you invite an ambassador to Quezon City, or sometimes most of them are in Makati, or you invite them for instance sa Ross Boulevard.
Yeah.
They will not go.
Exactly.
Because they will have to pass EDSA.
It's too far and too traffic.
And do you know what kind of publicity we have abroad because of that?
Yeah.
Kaya sabi ko, ba't naman hindi? Nung una sana okay eh. Until some of the congressmen abused it.
Abused it, yes.
So, tinanggal nila. Sabi ko, hindi politically acceptable na padaanin mo yung mga yan, no? Dahil pero I think politically acceptable yung mga foreign yung mga padaanin mo riyan dahil alam naman magko-question diyan. Tsaka it will some of our bad publicity.
Wow. First of all, no, I like your suggestions on that. Everyone should be consulted if there's a major project, but you have a very unique idea, no? On para din mabawasan yung negative impression, no, images. Okay. Now my question is more siguro long term, and you've had decades of experience in handling and putting up successful businesses, but for those who are, of course, not as established as your businesses, so what recommendations can you give to businesses for them to be able to cope with major projects like this? Because it could be detrimental, it can even be deadly to their business.
Well, the best example, the best suggestion really is to go out of this route.
Okay.
And that is all of it. That is why sometimes even in labor, we have a problem. Because they're saying, dapat pare-pareho sweldo.
Yes.
Doon sa regions, different. I remember one of the reasons why it is not so is to encourage establishment to go outside.
Okay.
Because concentrated. Because if you have to pay the same thing, why not put it here? Huh? So those are some of the things. You encouraging investment and on other places outside of Manila. That should help. But whatever we do, talagang maraming nandito.
Yeah.
So mahirap talagang ano yan. So we have to have alternative routes, alternative mode of transport. As was said, we have to have acceptable mass transport. No? Dun sa other places in Hong Kong, it's acceptable. In New York, people don't even have buy cars. Dito, you cannot not buy cars. You cannot not even buy cars. So, marami kong kilala, hindi pa nakasakay sa MRT eh. Hindi pa nakita MRT.
Yeah, that's true.
So, why is that so? Sabi ba, yung mahirap to, yung person last mile na mahirap eh. How do you go there? Merong maganda, even yung mga skyway.
Yeah.
Okay lang sana, madali sabihin, mabilis yung skyway. Pero para makarating ka sa entrance, saka sa layo rin eh.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, yun, planning I think is best.
Well, I think that's sage advice, for those in business. Na one is, consider moving out of Metro Manila, and of course also push for better public transportation. No? Kasi you can be as resilient lang as you can, but government also needs, to play a big role. No? Which now will lead me to Lou again. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz Luis. No? So what do you think, diba, given all these ideas about public transportation, let's focus on what do you think government is doing. So what do you think are the biggest misconceptions that government has about mobility and traffic management? And I mean, what are they not getting, in your opinion?
There's a mindset right now that rail is the magic bullet that will fix everything.
Rail, do you mean like train, MRT,
whether
or
trains or MRT, LRT? There's a
okay.
mindset right now that is the magic bullet that will fix everything.
Okay.
To a certain extent, that is true when that is up and running already. But that takes years to realize. Kasi you have to build the infra, you have to buy the trains, rails, and so on. Yes, in the meantime, habang iniintay natin mangyari yan, what is happening? What is the plan? So my question would be, number one, LTFRB manages the public transport supply. What is our public transport supply right now? PUJs, PUVs, ilan?
Yes.
Kulang na kulang yan.
okay.
So next question is, what is stopping LTFRB from approving more? Number two, same question as kanina, capacity, MRT, LRT. How many trains do we have? Bakit yan lang? How many trains do we really need compared to what we have right now? Is there a plan to procure more trains? If not, why not? Second question, same with the EDSA busway. How many buses do we have right now? How many buses do we need?
Okay.
Things like that. And government can do that. Yung problema na, I guess, is there someone actually in charge doing that? If not, why not? Next point to that also is, if government wants to fix traffic, this is national government. You put up a task force with everyone on the table. Pag-usapan natin yan, magagawa ng paraan yan. I work the national government. If government really wants to do it, they can do it. Pandemic showed it. So, is it a priority? That's the bigger question. Kasi there's a lot of things right now. Ang daming sunog sa Pilipinas. If this is a priority, government should make it a priority. And if so, we will see that it is a priority by staffing, by funding, and so on. Kasi yung isang sakit ng gobyerno natin, we have to admit, they will say, yes, this is a priority, yes, we will do this. Pero when it comes to the actual talk, there is no staffing, there is no budget. So, baka mema lang yan.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean,
it's up to the people, we the people who are sovereign, by the way, we have to pressure government, oy, problema ito, ayusin natin ito. Otherwise, we vote them out next election.
I mean, I think, the power really is with people, and we need to push these policies. No? And I hope government's listening to the discussion tonight. Because again, it's a wicked problem and will require a lot of effort and be purposive, and of course, a lot of political will. No? Okay, my next question for you, kasi you mentioned, we the people. No? So what can, ordinary citizens do to push for more inclusive and sustainable transportation, not just in Metro Manila, but the Philippines?
Good question, because that's something I've been doing these past couple of years. I'm doing civic engagement and active citizenship and so on. Yung isang sakit ng Filipino, and I think I mentioned this the last time, one problem with Filipinos is something called learned helplessness. Sino ba ako? Ano ba magagawa ko? And so on and so forth. Not realizing, if you read the Constitution, if you read local government code, ang powerful ng Filipino as a citizen if you decide to really make things happen. What can ordinary citizens do? The beautiful thing about Philippines is pagdating sa LGU, isa lang kausap mo, si Mayor. Pag pumayag si Mayor, tapos na yan. Whereas if you're talking with national government, you have to talk with the secretary, with executive secretary, with the president, what have you. Pero pagdating sa LGU, pag kausap mo si Mayor, pag may buy-in si Mayor, okay na yan. So, what can ordinary citizens do? Number one, in the LGU, they should be doing something called the LPTRP, the Local Public Transport Route Plan. Meaning, the way the LGU manages yung public utility vehicles, tricycles, and so on, pag hindi maayos yung transport nito within the LGU, problema ni Mayor yan. Ayusin na dapat yan. Kulang ba ang tricycle? Kulang ba ang jeep and PUVs and so on? That's a problem for the Mayor to fix. Kung ikaw, commuter ka, pedestrian ka, nakatira ka doon sa LGU, hindi ka masaya sa public transport niyo, ireklamo niyo kay Mayor, ireklamo niyo kay Councilor. Bakit? Huwag kang mahiya. Trabaho nila yan. Kaya nga siya binabayaran eh.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, hindi pwede yung magmumuko ka na lang sa kanto tapos bakit kasi ganito, bakit ganyan. Do something about it. Write an email, write a letter. Kausapin mo nga si kagawad, si punong barangay, si konsehal. Kasi if it is not escalated, if hanggang chismis lang tayo, hanggang mura lang tayo, walang mangyayari dyan. You have to escalate it formally. This is where active citizenship comes in. Kasi yung problema natin bilang Pilipino is magrereklamo tayo sa Facebook, magpo-post tayo sa Twitter or whatever, and then hanggang doon na lang. Hindi pwede ganon. You want to fix something, you go out and do something about it. Leadership is a choice, not a position. You do not have to be appointed or elected to make something happen. Mamamayan ka na. You have the office of citizen. Do something about it or shut up and magmukmuk ka na lang sa kanto. Walang mangyayari.
Wow. No, I mean, two important points. Number one is, hindi lang tayo basta pwede magreklamo. No? And you have to be involved and then you have to vote. No? And then second is, I really like the point that you raised na LGUs have a big role. Especially given the Mandanas ruling. Mas powerful ng LGUs ngayon. They actually have the power to do something. Wow, thank you. Wow, no, we're almost out of time. Ang ganda ng conversation natin. Siguro we'll do one round of last word, no? Again, siguro let's start with Lou, then architect, and then we'll give the last word to Mr. Ortiz Luis, no? So Lou, no? Siguro last word is, if you were face-to-face, no, with everyone involved in the government, the OTR, the VWH, Office of the President, what would you tell them, no, about this project?
Funny enough, kasi a few weeks ago, I was face-to-face with Secretary Vince Dizon.
All right.
And the good thing about him is he's very inclusive. He listens. He really listens. And which is why one reason was he did the EDSA walk with us. One thing I would say to our workers, our duty bearers in government, especially DPWH, think about what you're doing. Like, really, think about it. Because sometimes they just do it out of inertia. Na parang, utos si Presidente, this is part of the plan that's been there for the longest time. Really take a step back and think about what you're doing. Because does it serve the mandate of your agency? Maybe, yes. But does it serve the bigger picture? Like, does it really help the sovereign Filipino people? Yes or no? If not, why not? And number two, make sure mandamay ka naman ng ibang tao sa usapan. Kasi pag kayo parate, you have groupthink that will not fix things at all.
Wow, thank you. No, and I hope again that Secretary Vince or everyone government is listening.
Sorry, additional add lang.
Sure.
For people out there who are ordinary students, whatever, pedestrians, don't wait, participate.
Wow, I like that. Don't wait, participate. Okay, now let's go to architect. Briefly, no, what would you tell them, no, if you were sitting in front of them?
Oh, we have to move away from old conceptions of what road design and what metropolitan planning is all about. If they care to visit, and I'm sure they travel, if they care to visit the world cities, they'll be surprised that other world cities have been in worse situations than us. But they are willing to try new ideas. They are not stuck by inertia. They are not chasing the low-hanging fruit, and they are daring enough to take a risk and do certain things, cold turkey, or pull the bandage, and let it heal. Now, that being said, sometimes things have to get worse before it gets better. But it will not get better if we're not looking and understanding the situation from a humanist perspective and understanding the conditions of people on the ground and listening. And marami ring eksperto na minsan hindi napapakinggan kasi it's just the same ideas that are echoing in the echo chamber. So yun. And maybe when the free market is trying to fix a problem or provide a solution, like for example, colorum vehicles. If you look at how CBDs work, a lot of the workers take colorum vehicles from their subdivisions or in the outskirts. Maybe it's time for government agencies to understand saan ba tayo nagkukulang? Bakit kailangan ng colorum in the first place? And what is it that's what are these underserved areas that these colorum vehicles are serving, and how do we fill that gap and make it formal instead of chasing them and hunting them? Kasi free market solutions are sometimes the best solutions because government doesn't have to spend on it. At all. So
Okay.
yun lang.
All right. No, thank you for that. No, I really like what you said, that government should be bold and try new things, but also do a little bit of introspection. What are we doing? What are we missing so that we can provide the solutions? Thank you, Thank you, Architect. So we'll give the last word to, of course, Mr. Ortiz Luis. You've been around a long time. You've seen administrations come and go. So what would you tell government now, while they're rethinking this project?
Let's do what are doable. Let's forget the EDSA for a moment. Yung plaka ko, kailangan ko na.
Yeah, yung license plates, wala pa yung iba. Okay.
Tsaka as was said, there are a lot of areas na hindi dumadaan sa EDSA, yung mga jeepneys. Hanggang ngayon, ang dami pang jeepney drivers walang trabaho. And I cannot understand the numbers. They say that mostly complied. I don't believe it. I think they have to really revisit and that modernization, which is the last and first and last mile of many people.
Yeah.
Hanggang ngayon, pinipilit nila yung modernization. It doesn't seem to be like working. Yung mga ganon, let's concentrate on things like that we can do kaysa sa bubungkalin mo muna yung EDSA ngayon.
Wow. Again, there's a lot of wisdom in that, not just for government, but for all of us. We should prioritize what can be done and high impact muna. Huwag tayong just do projects just for the sake of doing projects. Okay, so, wow. It's already 8 o'clock, and we've had a very good and comprehensive discussion. So as we end our episode today, we hope we'd help shed light on an issue that touches so many aspects of our lives, from daily commuters, long-term development, government planning, and even to citizen welfare and participation. So the EDSA Rehab project, whether suspended or implemented, in the future reminds us of one thing: infrastructure is not just about roads. It's about people. And urban development must be, again, inclusive, efficient, and grounded in both technical expertise and genuine concern, again, for the public. Kaya mahalaga na ang konsultasyon, tamang datos, at malasakit, napakahalaga. Sa bawat proyekto, maliit man o malaki, tulad ng EDSA Rehab. Sabi nga ni dating UP President Jose Abueva, good governance is not only about making things work. It's about making things better for the people. That should be the guiding principle of any public project, to make things better, not just different. And as Proverbs 15 verse 22 tells us, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. So may this remind us that dialogue, transparency, and collective wisdom are essential in creating real progress. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us and asking the questions that matter. And may we continue to stay informed, engaged, and empowered to participate in nation building. And of course, maraming salamat sa ating mga guests. Thank you, Architect Leandro, of course, Mr. Ortiz Luis, and of course, si Lou. At maraming salamat sa Radyo Katipunan at CBX Network sa pagbuo ng ating show ngayong gabi. Muli po, ang episode na ito ay hatid sa atin ng Delis Condensada na siya namang naghatid ng balanseng tamis at mataas na kalidad sa abot kayang halaga. So check them out on Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok Shop as well. So again, ako po si JR Santiago and this has been Nagtatanong Lang. Hanggang sa susunod, sama-sama tayong magtanong para sa mga swak na solusyon para sa mas maayos at mas makataong Pilipinas. Muli, magandang gabi po at maraming salamat.
Kailangan ba
Bakit
talaga
laging
dito
traffic
namang may freedom of speech?
Marami tayong mga tanong.
Tayo laban sa
Bakit
fake
ganito?
news?
Bakit ganyan?
Asa pa bang
Mga tanong tungkol sa bayan at sa buhay.
Ano nga ba ang gawang kabataan?
May solusyon nga ba? Sino ang may
para
sagot?
kanino ba talaga ang gobyerno?
At sino ang magtatanong? Huwag mag-alala. We got you! Dahil dito, bawal ang dead air. Sa Nagtatanong Lang. Kasama si JR Santiago, isang guro, public speaker at dating public servant na walang takot na magtatanong para sa mga sagot na dapat nating malaman sa tulong ng ating mga eksperto, leader at tayong mga mamamayan. Kasagutang para sa atin at para sa bayan. Nagtatanong Lang, ang bago mong public service program dito sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Tuwing Webes ng gabi, makiusyoso, makidiskurso at makialam. Dahil ang